I'll go to presentation mode, if that's all right. Kevin, are you in charge of that, if you don't mind? I'll try to build in time for questions and answers at the end. So, I won't probably be able to see your face when I go to present mode. So just write it down or hold on to it, and I'll try to get to you at the end. That being said.
We can also mute. I'm going to see if I can mute everybody. Let's see.
If you can go down to the bottom on green, Adam, if you could click screen share, it should just send me a message allowing you to screen share from where you're.
For some reason, my mouse is not working. Kevin, can you mute us, please? Thanks.
Did that work?
You're good.
Okay. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, excellent. Great. Thank you. Okay, so I can see people's faces. So yeah, I guess you can wave or whatever, get my attention if you have a question. But if you can save them for the end, that would be beneficial too. So I would like to just kind of bring Rotary up to speed on what's happened across the district since the announcement. So our school doors may be closed to students, but learning is still taking place. The announcement. On Friday, March 13th, Governor Pritzker announced that schools across Illinois would close their doors on Tuesday, March 17th. So we really weren't given too much advance warning. There were some rumblings. There were some words of encouragement, random words of encouragement. Schools, you might want to get some alternative learning plans prepared, but really nothing concrete. And so it was a pretty quick turnaround. So on Saturday, March 14th, Geneseo administrators and teachers from around the district met. Quite a few of them met here at the district office with me to try to develop a remote learning plan to educate our students during this closure. On Monday, March 16th, teachers met with students for the final time. And on Tuesday, March 17th, remote learning started at Geneseo. Now, some districts across the state did not begin remote learning until April 7th. So let that sit in for a minute. All schools were closed on Tuesday, March 17th. Geneseo started their remote learning plan on Tuesday, March 17th, but some schools across the state did not begin till as late as April 7th. So we didn't miss a beat. We also didn't miss a beat when it came to feeding our students. So on Tuesday, March 17th, we started providing 2 free meals each day of the week, not Saturday and Sunday, but Monday through Friday, 2 free meals for any child 18 or younger. They don't even have to be in school. They don't even have to be in our community if they're passing through. We feed them. And as of yesterday, we have fed over 30,790 unique meals. We're averaging about 500 unique students a day right now. So our focus or our priorities during the closure, priority 1 was to feed our students who are the greatest in need. The government made a lot of waivers, gave schools a lot of freedom and flexibility under what is normally pretty strict food guidance, but they waived a lot of that and said, feed our kids. You can do it best. Go feed our kids. Priority 2, account for the extended safety, health, and welfare of the roughly 3,000 students and employees that we have. Priority 3, communicate factual information clearly. And priority 4, provide educational opportunities and continuity of education through remote learning. So what is remote learning? What is this education that we're trying to provide our students right now? Well, remote learning is a district's best attempt to provide a continuity of education for its students from a remote or virtual setting. Remote learning is not having students sit in front of a computer screen for 8 hours a day. That's not practical. However, we have distributed roughly 150 Chromebooks and multiple Wi-Fi hotspots to families who lacked access to technology and or adequate internet. Most learning being done is asynchronous, which allows students, staff, and families the greatest flexibility. Remote learning is new to most school districts across the state. There were a handful of districts that were piloting what they call e-learning, and there was a handful of districts out of the 860 roughly school districts across Illinois. There were a handful that had an approved program up and running prior to COVID. So for most districts, this is pretty brand new. Remote learning then has identified the inequities that exist for families and communities across the state when you talk about those, the haves and the have-nots on those that have computers, internet access, that live in really rural areas, and the poor and the rich communities. It really points out those inequities that exist. So what are some of the end of the year and summer, beginning of the year items that we're looking at here? Well, the governor extended the closure through the remainder of the academic school year. So we're not supposed to have students on our grounds or in our buildings, except for some extreme cases, and we'll get to those later on. But for the most part, students should not be back on our grounds learning this academic year. We don't know when students will be allowed to return to our buildings for in-person instruction. Groups that we work with, such as IHSA, they canceled all state spring tournaments. They've also suspended all summer contact days. Each sport has a limited number of days that coaches can work with them. They can go to camps, they can have practices. IHSA right now has suspended all of those activities, saying we don't know when seasons can begin, and you should save those days if they're allowed to be used later in the summer. Illinois State Board of Education and the governor announced that no in-person graduations should take place at this time. So ISB and IDPH sent out joint information, more recent information on Saturday. And again, they're only looking at alternative virtual graduations for school districts. So we're looking to have one for our students on the original date, which was May 24th. All summer camps, band, sports, summer learning adventure, summit, etc., are currently suspended. We're looking into options for remote learning for summer school for our neediest students. Typically, we run a 3 or 4 week boot camp for some of our lowest academic students. And so we're looking at ways to meet their needs over the summer if we need to, if we can't do that in person. We're offering an additional section of the classroom portion of driver's education online over the summer, so we don't fall even further behind, because the state during the fourth quarter said no behind the wheel instruction was to take place. So there's a lot of anxious 15, 16-year-olds and their parents who want them to have their license, but they're not going to be eligible until we can meet that requirement. So we're going to try to get caught up in the fall. Students were able to pick up their remaining belongings that were in their desks or in the hallways or in their cubbies or whatnot through a bag and tag, grab and go method last week. And we had a very high percentage rate getting those belongings back to students, providing some closure and just making sure that they had their possessions back to them. Our last day of student attendance is scheduled for May 22nd. We're required to have 176 days of student attendance. That was not waived in any of the executive orders from the governor. He did declare some of the days to be act of God days. That was March 17th through the 30th. That just means you don't have to make those days up, which is kind of another reason why some schools did not have educational opportunities for students until April 5th. Not to say that they saw those days as holidays, but they weren't ready to implement learning. And so they took the opportunity given to them under the circumstances not to roll out remote learning, where we had the opportunity to do so. We'll continue to feed our families through May 29th. In June, we typically have other annual summer feeding organizations, start up. And so if we're able to hand off to them, if they're able to meet the demand that we currently have, we may hand off to them. If not, then we'll continue to supplement that. But we don't want to take away from those programs that traditionally have that presence in the summer. Our first day of student attendance for the next school year is tentatively scheduled for August 13th. On the 24th of April, the governor announced that schools should continue to revise their remote learning plans in case they're needed in the fall. We'll be ready for in-person learning on August 13th, or we can push the start date back if necessary to allow for in-person instruction on day one, or we'll begin remote learning on August 13th if we deem that that's the best option. So just some concluding remarks. The district responded quickly and professionally to the crisis. It's really amazing what the teachers were able to do, again, in such a short notice. And with our food service department, both groups did not miss a beat, and they had a plan to make sure that our kids and families had things in their hands on day one. And that's a credit to them, including over spring break. Our district will continue to modify our remote learning plan to provide educational opportunities for our students, understanding that each family is different. We think of Geneseo as, not poor, and we're not. Our free and reduced rate across the district is about 23%. But we've got to understand that there are families with all kinds of different circumstances right now. There are some that are essential employees that are going to work every day, and nobody's there with the kids to help facilitate this learning. They might be with grandma and grandpa. They might be at a daycare. Maybe mom and dad are working from home. And maybe there's more children, like at the Brumbaugh house, there's more children than computers. And so we realize that we have to be understanding of those families in those situations, and also respect those families who want more, who are actually asking us, we want more work. We want some enrichment opportunities. So we're working with all families, trying to just meet their needs where they're at. And I'm pleased to announce that every senior earned a diploma. And so not a single senior is not going to graduate as a result of this. Other goals were to have each child be promoted to the next grade level, and each child earn credit for the course that they're in. I can't guarantee you that that's going to happen, but again, that's what we're working towards, and want to make sure that kids hopefully were not negatively impacted due to circumstances beyond their control during the remainder of this academic year. So that's it for me. I wanted to try to give you some time for questions. Looks like maybe we have about 5 minutes for those that stuck around. Jane, if you want to unmute it, or allow people to, or maybe they can just press their space bar and join in, but whatever works for you guys.
Okay. Questions?
I have one question. Is there a plan, or at least considering the option of having an in-person graduation ceremony later on in the year?
That's a great question. So we're really at the mercy of IDPH on when they say large groups can get back together. And if you kind of work backwards from where we started to where they said, first you have to go to groups of 250 or less, but schools you're exempt. And then groups of 50, schools you're exempt. And then schools you're closed. Really at the mercy of when they'll deem it safe for us to go back. If you look at some of the schools that have tentative dates in place, Moline is looking at July 23rd. UT and Rocky are looking at August 2nd. A lot of places, like Zach just said, have already canceled their 4th of July celebrations. So we're really hesitant today to put out dates and then have to cancel and then postpone again and then postpone again. So we're balancing wanting to do that, obviously, with making sure that we are not continuously letting those families down with dropping the date. But yeah, we are looking at options. And we certainly want to make the 24th the best day it can be under the circumstances.
I have a question. Do you know yet what the scholarship night will look like? Is it going to be on the Facebook page of the school, or do you know anything about that particular event yet?
That's a good question, Jane. You said earlier that you recorded your announcement to the student or students that were going to receive the scholarship. Did you get a letter from GHS asking you to do that?
Tara sent an email.
Okay, so letters should be going out to students. If they didn't already, they are going out this week to students, letting them know that they're going to be, that number one, they earned a scholarship. It doesn't say who it was from or what it is yet. And definitely I'm with you. If the organization is willing to record themselves and send that to the district or to the student directly, that's our number one choice. But we're compiling those. Anything that's sent to us, we're going to compile them. And then likewise, anybody that doesn't feel comfortable doing that, I think Mr. Mackey or some other people will read a message. So let's say they do feel comfortable, sending a message, or regardless, we have those the scholarship write-up that we typically read, or the presenter reads. Somebody will read that and also record it. So I think the letter that's going out to students to say, it may be around the 14th, 15th of May when we hope to have everything together, to be sent out. But again, we're kind of at the mercy of the groups of when they get those videos to us. But definitely we want to package it together and have it available either through Facebook or through our YouTube page.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions?
This is Randy. A question about if you have any updates. I presume that the summer athletic camps, the FCAs, the Augustanas, well, I will presume anything. Are those pretty well being canceled or not?
Yeah. So I know that some of the FCA camps, like the earliest ones, have already been canceled. Our local ones are, I'll use the word suspended. Typically Coach Storm is going to have that boys basketball one the first week of June. We know that sneakers are going to be going off, but that's suspended for right now because we haven't been told that we can have that. It's our goal to have all of our camps, but we don't know right now. I just read today that University of Iowa has canceled all of their youth camps for the summer. All of them. It doesn't matter if it's wrestling, basketball, whatever. At the University of Iowa, all youth camps that were going to take place are canceled.
Anybody else have a question? Okay. Well, I would like to thank everyone for attending today. And if you have suggestions for programs, please contact me. I'm currently the program chair, so I will happily set things up. We've got openings coming up. So next week, the 19th, we will not meet on the 26th unless there's a great need for it. We hadn't been meeting the day after a holiday, but I feel like we missed out because we didn't meet the end of March and all of April, or looking at a calendar. We did have one in April, but anyway, I'll send out an email regarding that, and have everybody have a wonderful day. Enjoy and stay